Welcome back to a Shock Top Summer Grapefruit style podcast this week of the Voices, episode 41. I'm John Fisher, enjoying a Shock Top Summer Grapefruit beverage. Brad, what are you drinking?
I'm not drinking anything.
Oh, well. Oh, that's kind of awkward, you know.
I have no idea what you're referring to. What is this drink?
It's a lighter beverage. It's a Shock Top. It's a brewing company. It's a summer grapefruit Belgian style wheat. Every time you take a sip of it, it tastes like you're eating grapefruit. It's very good, very good. And it's not, it's fruity. It's fruity, and I have no shame in that. Nobody should. But
nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with being fruity. Absolutely not. Ask Billy and Chuck; they get it. Well, today we're going to discuss a lot of stuff. We have Raw. We have some news and some notes. Nothing to really go into as far as pay-per-views because nothing really happened over the weekend. But there's some things to discuss. Maybe a little NXT. Maybe a little Road Dogg. He put his foot in his mouth again. So, without further ado, Brad, you found us a tweet of the week, didn't you?
I sure did. Hit the music. Yeah, the Road Dogg here really stepped on his dick again. There's nothing new about that. You know, this guy probably shouldn't be on Twitter, but he is nevertheless.
He shouldn't be anywhere where he can talk in public.
He actually, to be honest, he's not a very great representative for WWE and social media. But
he's terrible.
I mean, yeah. So a fan essentially tweeted Road Dogg asking if it hurt the current Rollins storyline when at the same time they're doing a sympathetic WWE 24 special on his recovery and that kind of thing. And so this was Road Dogg's tweet reply. I hope that everybody is adult enough to separate real life from sports entertainment. 24 is about the person. Now, mind you, this special came on the WWE Network at the same time that Seth Rollins returns from a serious injury and comes back on television as a heel when he has natural babyface momentum. So,
right after Raw too, the day after he came back. So we're not stupid. We understand that it's real life and it's sports entertainment, but you're in the reality era. It's 2016. There are no more blurred lines between reality and on television. CM Punk broke that in 2011, 2012. So that's dead. So the fact that they really think that people aren't going to be like, well, what the shit? I mean, you got Seth Rollins. He's a great guy, behind the scenes. He's passionate. All he wants to do is get his title back. Like all he wants to do is get back and entertain the fans, do what he loves. We're supposed to hate him? That's not how it works. It's just like Bray Wyatt, natural babyface. He's likable. They put him as a heel for whatever reason. Roman Reigns, he's a hateable guy, but they want us to like him. They're forcing too many emotions on people that cannot be forced. So why continue to do it? It's like going back to the well to see if you get the same reaction. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, they should be using the network to help their stories that they're telling on Raw, not do the opposite. I mean, they've got to learn how to manipulate and use the network to their advantage in the creative world, and seems like they haven't figured that out yet. They're expecting grown adults to watch this network special that's sympathetic and then boo him for unknown reason on Monday Night Raw. It doesn't make any sense. It's a huge disconnect. The only people that may do that are, frankly, little children who don't understand. But, I would say anyone with a developed brain is going to understand this and probably not want to boo him. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And that's just the problem that I have is they do think we're stupid. I wish they didn't think we were so dumb. Because everything would be different, especially using the network. NXT uses the network very well. I mean, the takeover specials, not just takeover specials, but since they're on NXT permanently, they're able to use it to their advantage. They'll even use Facebook properly. Damn it! I mean, heck, earlier today we're recording this Thursday night. Earlier today they announced that Ty Dillinger's going to face CN or CN, however you pronounce it, at Takeover. They know how to use what's at their fingertips, while the main roster doesn't. Tell me how that's possible. They're the same damn company.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Breaking Ground from NXT, and you look at Baron Corbin on this show, and it's like, wow, this guy is kind of a douche. And then he's a heel on NXT, and you're like, man, I kind of want to hate this guy.
Yeah,
it's not that hard to figure out, right?
No, and I don't know where the disconnect is. I mean, does it start and end with Vince McMahon? Yes, it does. Do people really think anyone else, makes the big decisions? No. I don't know how much Triple H decides in the main roster, but it can't be a lot. I don't see what he would be deciding that would sway what Vince thinks. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about who they're gonna push, who they're gonna send down to the mid card, who they're gonna bear, who's gonna be champion, who's gonna be in the big rivalry, who's Cena gonna feud with, who it's all those things. And now they're talking like, oh well, who's gonna be the face, who's gonna be the heel? Okay, Seth, you're gonna be the heel, but it just comes back full circle. They don't make the right decisions, and it's so damn obvious. I don't know how they're gonna fix it until Vince retires. Is that really the theme of everything that we all complain about? When Vince is gone, will it finally get better?
Well, that'll be the first step to it getting better, but there will be other things as well that will need to take place. I mean, you're going to have a suitable replacement, or you've just you have the same problem all over again. You're going to have to get rid of some other people. Stephanie McMahon is a serious problem on that TV show. She's a serious problem with the product today, and you've got a lot of people in charge. Kevin Dunn is another one. So you've got to remove some of those elements. I'm not sure it's ever going to happen, but those are some of the things you have to do. Now, Vince, again, he's the first step, and until he is out of power, and he is the ultimate say-so and ultimate authority on all of this. And frankly, he's a micromanager. So, until he's out of power, nothing is going to drastically change. It's still the same old Vince.
That's that used to be a good thing. Same old Vince. Vince who came up with the CM Punk storyline, along with Punk himself. Vince who was a mastermind of the Attitude Era. Vince who created Hulk Hogan, who created WrestleMania. Now he's Vince who created the Shining Stars, Vince who won't turn Seth Rollins babyface, Vince who drove away CM Punk. I think there's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm someone who, I'm 37 and I've been watching wrestling since the early 80s. And that's not just WWF or WWWF. I mean, that's NWA and all the territories, Mid-Atlantic, et cetera, in there. And then a lot of the other stuff. I've watched Japan and ROH and TNA and the Indies. I watched a shitload of actual wrestling, AAWA, where a lot of big stars like Hogan were originally made. And, and Vince was spectacular in his earlier days. And it's just like he has gotten more out of touch and has lost a little bit of his luster year after year as he's gotten much older. Frankly, if he was a CEO of a company that he didn't inherit, if this was a normal sort of publicly traded company, he would have probably been removed as CEO at some point because there would have been a vote of no confidence. Now, forget the overall profits, right? Because they're on a network subscription model and they've expanded into different countries. And so there's a lot of natural things in place they've done to increase their profits. But man, there's never been a time, I remember it's in recent history. I mean, it's, the house show attendances are down. Product interest is down, and that can all be easily fixed if they're just willing to listen.
Isn't it true that NXT's house show outsold Raw's house, or I guess WWE's house shows? And you have to think that the Raw and SmackDown have triple the potential actually no, triple the real audience that NXT gets. Technically, because only 1.5 million people have the network subscribers, and over 3 million watch Raw every week almost. How do you?
Yeah,
How do you let an NXT Hell show outdraw your main one? It's embarrassing.
they've got to figure it out. I mean, it's are you going to cater to the smarks? Are you going to look for the outside casual fan appeal? Because I feel like they don't exactly. They're not sticking to a plan and they're not executing it properly. NXT is going to obviously cater more to your smart fan. In the main roster product, frankly, should be reaching out to those casual fans. You look at the Attitude Era. The houses were huge. The pay-per-view buy rates are huge. The product interest was huge. It would be nothing to see a DX, an NWO, a Steve Austin t-shirt walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling was cool. And that's one of the cool things about wrestling is you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want because you write it. It's a work.
Yeah.
And there's so much they could do. Instead of that, the WWE takes something today and actually, in doing what they do, they make something worse than it is. And our most recent example, I guess, would be Gallows and Anderson. They are just another boring team in the WWE. And I like both guys, and I like their work in Japan. And it's mind-boggling to me how they could take something, have a big opportunity with this Bullet Club, Ballard Club, whatever the hell you want to call it, and make it less interesting than it should be. The story writes itself.
Well, and we're gonna get into that as we get into our Raw hit or miss, and we'll talk about their change. I think they're finally figuring out Gallows and Anderson. I hope it isn't too late, and we're gonna see. I think Raw is gonna be the big kicker if they actually start getting more of a reaction. Than just who are these guys, right? Because like Vince Russo had said, they're two guys in jeans, or no, like Mark Madden, former WCW announcer, said they're just two guys in jeans. To the casual fan, they don't know who they are. They didn't get a vignette. They didn't get anything. Vince assumed you knew who they were, which is a big mistake. But like I said, we'll get into that in our Raw hit or miss. So let's start off, I know, with Brad's favorite segment, the New Day dance off.
I think I'm a big fan of the New Day. I think sometimes their segments are a little hit or miss because they can be over the top and they go on too long. It's like, they're over and they're talented, so they just tend to stick them out there for too long to fill time. I didn't like the dance off. I thought it was really stupid with Shane and Stephanie. And the weird part was you could clearly tell in the writing that Stephanie, the fans were supposed to want her to dance. They were supposed to care. And when she said she didn't want to dance, she was supposed to get heat for that. And nobody cared. Nobody gave a single shit.
Well, actually, she got a pop when she said that she was going to dance. So
nobody cared about her dancing. Nobody cared about it. Watch the clip. Nobody cared. This was stupid. It's like my wife was watching this, and she's a very casual fan. She watches occasionally or goes to shows occasionally with me because I watch it. And, she said to me, "This is really boring." She thought it was stupid and boring. I mean, so that is what your casual fan is thinking when they see something like this. They're going to tune out. They're going to change the channel. So, those guys are talented enough to go out there to cut a promo to entertain you for 10 minutes rather than to do something stupid like this. It was a miss for me.
Yeah, I mean, the New Day was funny, and I liked. See, if it wasn't a dance off, it would have been a hit because they were leading to that. Well, Stephanie, who's gonna run this? Shane, who's gonna run that? Are you gonna bring up the New Day in the draft? Who's gonna run which show? What the hell are you guys doing? You don't know anything. Like that should have been just it. That should have been it, right? And then the Vaudevillains came out and did their thing, which is great because I like the Vaudevillains a lot.
Yeah, but the vaudevillains came out to. You could hear a mouse fart when
Yeah.
they came out.
But no, there were some boos. I think they're starting to get booed more. It's gonna take some time, but I think people
They're not over whatsoever. They've got to figure out a way to get these guys over if they're going to continue to use them in this type of role.
win the titles, they get over immediately. I'm calling that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to put some effort into a story with them, Jesus, it's not that
Well,
hard. Give them 5 minutes.
they did have heat whenever they knocked out Enzo. It was natural heat because they hurt one of the crowd's favorites. As soon as they said, well, what did they say? It was something like, oh, well, you weren't looking so tough when I knocked out your best friend. People got pissed, and that was great.
Well, that's because it was reality based.
Yeah.
It was relatable. It was an emotion that people can relate to. And believe it or not, although they don't do that, that's something that people like. That's something they watch normal TV and see.
Yeah, that's why people like it. It's all about reality TV. Back in the Attitude Era, there wasn't reality television, and if there were, it was very, very minimal. It wasn't like a boom yet, but now it's all there is on television. So relate to that. Okay, so oh God, I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this one. Oh dear Lord, Seth Rollins confronting Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I thought this was a total miss.
Yep, thought so. I agree, by the way.
I think the obvious intent behind making Seth Rollins a heel, even though it makes no sense, is that they need a top heel for Roman Reigns to defeat.
Yes.
And it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's lazy booking. But speaking of lazy booking, I mean, you may not remember, but Seth Rollins was booked terribly as the champion. He was a total chicken shit heel as the champion. He was constantly defeated on Raw, on free TV. It was just a very weak reign. And they bring him back to TV, and he's white hot as a baby face with the crowd reaction. And they turn him heel, and the people generally want to cheer him. And then they go back to the same ways as before the injury. He's a total chicken shit. He's booked like a coward. He is coming down to the ring, but then runs back. And this went on and on. This went on for minutes where he's just teasing he's going to go to the ring and runs back. And Roman just stands there. And neither guy does anything. What kind of a man-to-man confrontation is this? How is this based on reality?
It's not.
Would something like that really happen? It's totally asinine. So he's been booked terribly already. I'm totally bored with him already. I think he's a great talent, and they've continued the same ways they had of booking him. And I think it's going to be an epic fail. And, it just doesn't make any sense. So it was a big miss for me.
Well, listen, I mean, I just don't know. I have no answers. None. I don't have any. I can't defend them. Because what was their agenda? To what? Have Seth all try to get him off guard. Let's back up a little bit. Try to get him again. No. It was so stupid.
It was totally stupid. And you know what? If a guy is going to pretend like he's going to come at me several times, I'm eventually going to get out of the ring and chase him down. Right? Yeah. What did Roman Reigns do? It was like the ropes were an invisible barrier where he couldn't leave the ring.
He's like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Really? You're going to, that's all he kept saying. He's like, really? Whatever. It was a waste of everyone's time. There are memes of skeletons on on various wrestling websites. They're like, oh, by the time that Seth and Roman Reigns confrontation ended, we're all dead, because it was just so bad. It was so bad. I don't know what they thought. I don't know who wrote that, but like the Road Dogg said, it doesn't matter who wins or loses until the very end and the story culminates. Right?
Well, I wish the story would culminate with him losing his job as on creative team, because he's terrible, and that's just the reality.
But that's your opinion. That's what he'd tell you. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
It is my opinion, and it's also the opinion of the millions of viewers that have tuned out. I mean, the ratings are in the shitter, and the product interest is down. The houses are down. So you know what? You can talk about your YouTube views and your network subscriptions, which are also based heavily on free subscriptions. And you know what? You could talk about that until the cows come home, but the product is in a lull, and the storytelling and creative are bad. Period. End of story. If it wasn't for the actual talent of the wrestlers and their ability in the ring, this product would be in serious trouble.
It would be. It would be. And we'll talk about something along the lines of that in a little bit. So Gary, the intern, it's a summer internship. He's going for a double major. He put in here that Michael Cole referred to Ric Flair as the women's champion. I didn't catch that. When did that happen?
Oh, geez. Was it during the Charlotte segment with Stephanie or right around that time, I believe? But he did actually refer to Ric Flair as the women's champion. And my first thought was, does Michael Cole even watch this fucking show?
No, Vince tells him what happens so he can talk about it on the mic.
Or does he just read a script and read off of the script and then kind of like glance at the monitor? And because it seems like he just, I don't know. I mean, just crazy.
He's a Muppet. Michael Cole was a Muppet with Vince's hand up his ass. Okay. Sorry. It's the truth. It just is. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. Oh, well, that's kind of funny, though. I am the man. All right. So speaking of Stephanie McMahon confronting Charlotte, I have to pull up a tweet, okay? I didn't have it prepared, but I just thought of it right now. By the way, for those of you who didn't see the Warriors game last night, it's Warriors are up 9 and right next to halftime, so for any of you care. And by the way, the Pittsburgh Penguins are up 2-0 on the San Jose Sharks in the Stanley Cup Finals. Thank you very much.
Well, and that's something that was expected, right? I mean, you hold home turf and then you go on the road and you try and win one.
Yeah. Do you still think the Penguins are going to lose the series, Bradley?
That's what I thought. I mean, we'll see. If they win game 3 or 4, then I think they will win the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. I'll put it to you that way.
Fair enough. Matt Murray, and sidebar for all you hockey fans, Matt Murray reminds me a lot of Cam Ward did in 2006, which if Murray gets these next 2 victories, then he will tie Cam Ward's record for most wins by a rookie in the Stanley Cup playoffs at 15.
All right, there you go.
Really? You have nothing? Okay. Anyway. Stephanie McMahon on Twitter. And I quote, from, quote, professional parasite to self-important brat, what's your favorite insult of mine in WWE? Hashtag Steph Book. Okay, so I have a clip. I brought just like CM Punk, I brought a clip. And this is the confrontation that Brad so mightily hated on Raw. Is that fair to say? Did you hate this segment a lot, Bradley?
I absolutely hated it.
Right.
That's correct.
And we're going to listen to it in its glory, all 43 seconds of it.
After what happened last week? Absolutely. Keeping your dad out of the ring, he left in tears.
I made an impact.
Well, you made an impact, all right. I have to say, I'm embarrassed to have you as our women's champion. I'm embarrassed that you are representing the women of WWE. You are a spoiled, selfish, self-important brat.
Coming from someone.
You have no idea what you are talking about or who you're talking to, so step back and shut your mouth. You're not a champion, you're just a waste of talent.
So what do you think of that? What you think?
Stephanie McMahon is one of the biggest problems with this current product. And this is a classic example. A week doesn't go by pretty much without her emasculating or dressing down a talent. What's the payoff here? Is this leading to a Stephanie McMahon and Charlotte confrontation, a title match?
No.
Who is the babyface and who is the heel in this confrontation, right?
I don't know.
This seems to have been done, once again, to make Stephanie look good and put her over as the star of the show, which they consistently do. They consistently remind you the fucking McMahons are the star of the show. This is the McMahon show. Everybody else is a 1B player. And, that's just the way it is. There was no point to this. This was terrible. Well, you have a women's champion. You've built up this division as a big deal, and you dress down the champion as having no talent, as being absolutely pathetic, as just being a total jobber and a joke. And it was just last week that she was slapping Ric Flair.
Yeah. I was just
and now there's no continuity. There's no, it appears, no sort of payoff to this angle. This is totally ridiculous.
So what
does this do but stroke Stephanie McMahon's ego?
She's learning from Triple H in this instance, who's very good at doing that. Very good at doing that. Did I say he was good? He's very, I mean, what? Hey, well, fucking, if you wrestle Triple H, you're in the main event. Well, Phil, you're in the main event match. If you wrestle Hunter, you're getting over, baby. You don't have to win to get over, especially when you're facing Triple H. So,
Yeah, it worked really well for Roman Reigns, right?
He's over. He's over, man. Moving on. But no, that segment was stupid. It was horrible. See, now, no, I'm not even going to go into it. Okay, so Gary the intern put on our what's his deal? Okay, John Cena's Ellen DeGeneres jorts. That's a mouthful. Who gives a what? Who cares? He told Ellen he would wear them. So what? Ellen's kind of cool, man. I dig Ellen.
Seriously, this is a sports entertainment show, a professional wrestling show, and he's wearing jorts with Ellen DeGeneres' face all over them. Could this guy be any more corny, cheesy, and unrelatable to the average person?
By the way, they weren't jorts. I'm pretty sure they were cargo pants or cargo shorts. So, just saying.
Wow, okay, that totally defeats the point that he's wearing fucking Ellen DeGeneres' face all over his shorts. Not really.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
What's wrong with it? You tell me.
What? Okay. Would you wear Ellen DeGeneres' face all over your shorts in public?
I plead the fifth.
Okay. End of discussion.
I plead the fifth on that one. You can't tell me what to do. No, seriously. I don't see why Garrett thought this was such a big deal. Like, fucking let it go. All right, so here you have AJ Styles turning heel. Now, when he texted me and said this fucking company and they turned a big babyface heel, I thought like Randy Orton came back and was the leader of the Bullet Club, which I would have been like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But no, seriously though, after the AJ Styles heel turn was pretty cool. If AJ wins at the end, we'll see. But for now, I like it.
Yeah, AJ's not winning.
Surprise, motherfucker.
How do you know that, though?
Because this is WWE's MO. I mean, he's not winning. He's a feeder opponent. I mean, for, John Cena, just like Seth Rollins is a feeder opponent for Roman Reigns. I think, look, John Cena needs an opponent. AJ Styles is wrestling at that top level now, and but he's not winning any of those feuds. Mm-hmm. And he can put on a great match that people are going to want to see. And so I think that's the goal here.
Sure.
So the guy's finally getting over pretty strong as a babyface, right? I mean, the reaction was great with the crowd between him and John Cena in a standoff. And just when he's got the momentum, just like Seth Rollins, when he returns, he's got white hot baby face, and they pull the rug out from under him.
Your opinion's rather rare. A lot of people I saw actually like the heel turn.
Yeah, I mean, look, he just split up with the club a week ago, and then it's like the next week, all of a sudden, he's back with them with no real explanation, and he's turning heel. And it's, why are they heel again? The whole thing is poorly written. I mean, that's the point. I just don't understand. It's fine. I mean, it is what it is. It's fine. I just, they had potential there. They're doing the brand split, and AJ will probably be the top heel on SmackDown, and Cena will be the top heel, top baby face on SmackDown, and they'll have their little feud. But at the end of the day, I think this is, another opponent for Cena to defeat. And I don't see how that helps the club faction when AJ hasn't won a feud yet. They need to protect them and keep them strong and give them some actual wins.
But I'm saying, what if Cena loses the feud? Don't say he won't. Say what if. Then would you be satisfied?
Well, I would definitely feel a lot better about it. I mean, the storytelling to get there was still illogical, but at the end of the day, I don't have a huge problem with him turning heel. Okay. I just thought it was just illogical, and they obviously don't want to pull the trigger on Finn Balor for whatever reason. They've had him scheduled to come up. They've gotten gun shy. They won't pull the trigger on him. So this is what we end up with, and it wasn't the most logical thing. I'm fine with AJ being heel, although I don't know how they're going to get people to boo him. I mean, between his in-ring work and the fact that he's been a natural babyface and people aren't necessarily overly fond of Cena anyway, I mean, I still think he's going to get a lot of cheers. I mean, people like the club to begin with, the Bullet Club. That's what this is, the club. By the way, that's a terrible name. Could they not come up? How many fucking pencil-over-the-ear geeks does it take on the writing team to come up with the club? What are they, a sandwich club? A bingo club? Are they the club that you put on your steering wheel so someone doesn't steal your car? What are these? What is that?
Well, okay. Well, to complete that metaphor, if the club is the club that you put on your wheel so that they wouldn't steal your car, the wheel is Cena. They don't want the wheel to turn, so the club's going to stop the wheel from turning. Okay, that was a big stretch. Let it play out. This is something that could be good. And I say could is a major could, maybe. Be patient. We'll find out. It's going to culminate at SummerSlam, I believe. Have AJ Styles win. Life is good. Or have AJ Styles, no, actually he'd have to win. And then have Finn Balor come and attack him afterwards. You don't know. You can go anywhere with this. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah. AJ's and Cena are about the same age. AJ just turned 39.
He has, yes, he did.
So it's not like he's the new era. But
he is,
yeah, I mean, he should go over Cena, but frankly, they're about the same age.
Yeah, Cena's putting over that young talent again. So, and I knew Gary would put this in here. Ziggler kicking Corbin in the genitals before their technical wrestling match. This was phenomenal. Excellent. This is like the best writing they did all night. Good booking. Because Corbin's a dick. We like him for it. He's a dick. So Ziggler got on his level. I think it was good. Corbin's going to win the feud. I hope you know that. But I found it really, really funny and exciting. Yeah, I didn't expect that to happen. Had no idea.
But you weren't supposed to find this segment funny. That's the problem with this segment. It was... Your reaction just proves how ridiculous this segment truly was. It was a miss for me. They should have put Baron Corbin over this jobber Ziggler strong. There is no question about it. He shouldn't be losing on house shows. He shouldn't be losing on TV, and he certainly shouldn't be made to look like a fool. I mean, it's totally ridiculous. They're not doing anything with Ziggler. Let Corbin squash him and look strong.
If you want to be.
And I don't understand it. And this feud has gone on for so long since, right after WrestleMania. It's gone on for a while. That's not how you get guys over.
Creative has...
It just doesn't make any sense.
Take what Colt Cabana said a long time ago. Creative is nothing for you. Lack of creative, rather. And it's gonna remain that way. Hey, be happy. Corbin's going to win the feud. So take that to the bank right now. Lastly, for Raw, and I think people were very disappointed, but I'm actually kind of excited. Goldberg was the hatch that was being teased on Twitter, and he will be a pre-order character for WWE 2K17. I like that. What? Really? Goldberg was fun to play. Was it 2K14 that he was at, or 15? I forget which roster he was on, but it was
14,
was it
I
14?
believe. It was,
Yeah,
it was 14.
I think you're right. But yeah, because I think they did the WrestleMania 1 through, I think it was the 30th anniversary of Mania that year. So they did like the timeline, and he was in it. I thought it was fun. What's wrong with Goldberg being the pre-order character? They have one every year. Who else would it be? Another actor? Fuck that. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a fucking bust.
No, I mean, that's fine. The problem here was they set up an expectation that this was going to be a big deal, and people are speculating, was it Bray Wyatt related? Was it a new character from NXT? You name it, the speculation was out there, and in typical WWE fashion, they took something exciting and absolutely made it less exciting than it was.
You know that this thing got more teasing than Gallows and Anderson's debut.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. Okay, so it's like, yes, and I had heard, I posted on Twitter before as Raw was beginning that I heard that Hatch was the WWE 2K17 related. And it was, and I was like, wow, this is so lame when I heard it. Look, okay, Goldberg, that's fine. They want their, like the method anyway, but they want their legends to go on the cover of 2K17 to help sell it. I've done a whole article on this before, and I'm not a fan of what they do here. I understand it, but I'm not a fan of it. They need to put the active talent on here, and Goldberg is not active talent. It's fine. I mean, he was on it in 14. It's not like a huge deal. He's on it again now because 2K17 worked a deal with him to be in the game. WWE had no involvement in it. Mm-hmm. He isn't signed to a WWE deal. He may or may not be. Now, history would tell you it could likely happen because you look at the Warrior and you look at Sting. There seems to be some sort of a weird bridge with getting 2K17 involved in building relationships.
But I think one led to the other. I'm pretty sure Sting and Warrior were in contracts. In contracts, that's not a thing. In contact with WWE before 2K was. So I think this is different. But you might be right though. I wouldn't roll up.
No, they weren't.
Really?
I mean, the first contact actually happened through the video game, and then they went on to talk with WWE. Yeah, and it was 2K17 that managed all of those relationships at first, and it led to, in every case, to them returning to do at least a one-off. So it likely, based on history, could happen. I'm not begging for it. I don't care if he never wrestles again. He's 50 plus years old, approximately.
He says he has 50 more matches left in him. 5-0.
I don't want to see one, much less 50. I have no desire to see him. They're not going to book him like the Goldberg character of WCW, especially in 2016. He doesn't know how to work in the ring. He's a nostalgia act that hasn't been around in a long time. There was never some sort of a hankering to see him like there was with Sting. I mean, I just don't. It's fine if they give him a match at Mania. I mean, it is what it is. It's fine if they put him in the Hall of Fame, but I have no desire to see it. I mean, it is what it is. Nobody is going to, here's the problem. Goldberg has offered to come back. He's never been like a big wrestling fan. He's done it for the money, which is fine. But he's always only wanted to come back for a lot of money. He's a total mark for himself, as Scott Hall and Kevin Nash have said in the past. And by the way, he wants to win these matches.
Yeah.
He's such a mark for himself. He not only wants big money still in 2016, but he actually wants to win these fucking matches. So he's going to beat a guy on the roster. What's that going to do? Okay, let's say, you know what? He changes his mind. What is beating a 50-year-old Goldberg going to do to a guy on the roster today? They're not getting over from a one-off victory over Goldberg at WrestleMania. It's totally pointless. So you know what? If you like Goldberg, you want to see his little entrance and You want to see him work a 2-minute squash at Mania, whatever. But I mean, I have no desire to see one match, much less 50 plus. Does this guy have his goddamn mind?
I would like to see Lesnar versus Goldberg, to be honest with you. I think that would be phenomenal.
That was a disaster the first time.
Because both of them were jacked off and they were leaving, so they didn't care.
That would be a terrible match.
I think it'd be hilarious. I think that would be
yeah, it would be hilariously bad.
Yeah, I think that'd be the final nail in the coffin to get Vince fired or pushed out. Maybe I don't know. But anyway, Lesnar Goldberg 2017 WrestleMania. Hey, Punk's gonna return at the Royal Rumble next year. Lesnar and Goldberg are having their rematch.
He's not returning.
Yes, he is. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Okay, so Raw had a 2.19 rating. Was it James Caldwell of PW Torch that tweeted, "If it weren't for the females being so and the kids being so happy for Cena's return, Raw would have been the worst in 20 years."
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's like, okay, you're going against the hockey playoffs, the basketball playoffs, and this is the best you can do. It's almost like they just, phoned it in. Like they knew it wasn't going to go well, so they just did whatever. It's just, I thought the show pretty much sucked. I didn't think it was a good show. I'd give it a thumbs down. It was the whole show overall was a miss for me.
See, I wouldn't say it sucked, but I've seen so much better. So much better. But anyway, whatever. So Dean's weekly run-in. This time we're talking about Impact Wrestling and the headache, the heartache, the stomach ache that I got from watching their contract signing, if you want to call it that. I'm getting indigestion just thinking about it. Excuse me. See, between Jeff and Matt Hardy at their home and wherever the fuck they're from, or living now, I guess. So it was garbage. Here's Dean's weekly run-in. Tell us, Dean, what do we got? So it was garbage, wasn't it? It was complete shit. What were they? I truly got a migraine after I watched. What were they thinking? It's like a high school edited their fucking. If you haven't seen the promo, go to Wrestling News Hub on Facebook. You will see the entire promo in its entirety and want to throw up, because that's what I wanted to do, was throw up.
It's some of the worst stuff in modern wrestling history, in my opinion. and I mean that quite seriously. And the fact that they think it's actually good, and the fact that Matt Hardy is on Twitter insulting fans and saying that Dixie Carter shouldn't listen to people who just insult them and don't like what they're doing. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is beyond amazing to me. But, here we are in 2016, and we've got Jeff Hardy versus Matt Hardy again.
I like the nostalgia of the Hardys facing each other, but I don't watch Impact Wrestling. I refuse to. The high morale bullshit, that's exactly what it is. It's bullshit, because there is no morale whatsoever there. It's as low as fucking can be. And people wouldn't be leaving if the morale was so damn high. So everything that Dixie and all the wrestlers say, they're lying. They're lying to your face, okay?
Well, they're told to lie. I mean, they're told to do that. They're actually given marching orders when the shows are on to tweet positive things about the company and the morale, etc. They're actually told to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's actually why you see that, is they're ordered to do that. I mean, how bizarre is that?
It's not.
Let's not address the problem. Let's make the talent tweet out that the morale is high and everything is great.
Yeah, they're lying. So take that with a grain of salt, would you? Take the company with a grain of salt. Because that, like I said, the Hardys promo was some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. Ever. And I'm an optimist. It's one of the worst stuff I've ever seen. It's horrible.
I mean, it's just not watchable for me whatsoever right now.
No. And I don't even get me started with Matt Hardy's gimmick. Stuff like, I don't understand. I just don't. I get rattled because I just don't understand. Oh well, we all get along again. You, me, and Dino. It's great. So let's get into some news and notes here. to close out this wonderful program that we have going. The Performance Center in Full Sail has an all-access event that you can go to. It looks like a really fun time. If you want to go, it's $1,500. Included is a lot of fun stuff, though, I'll admit. But that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's kind of not very much in touch with your fan base to give a price like that. It's kind of ridiculous, but I mean, there are going to be smarks who pay for it, so you know what? They'll that's what they'll ask for. You'll see guys like Frank the Clown there,
Brock Lesnar
guy, sign guy this, the guy super fan that. They'll all be stroking each other off in a circle jerk, and it'd be a great old time.
Yeah, great old time. I know you were happy about this. The Big Show was hinting at retirement in a recent interview when he said all good things must come to an end sometime. What do you think of that? That's interesting.
Well, yeah, I thought that was actually slightly misleading because I'm wondering things that's coming to an end. I mean, there's a bad thing that's coming to an end.
Which is him.
Yeah. That's actually what I'm saying, yes.
Yeah.
All good things must come to an end. Well, that's true. He's not a good thing. He's a bad thing. And hopefully he is coming to an end soon.
Like you want him to die? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm talking about the Big Show, the character The Big Show, not Paul White.
Paul White's a nice guy.
I wish him all the health and happiness as a character, as a performer on TV. I want him to go away.
Well, speaking of people that they wanted to go away, an episode on the season 2 of Swerved will feature a crazy fan invading the Performance Center. Listen, you're not swerving anyone. That actually happened, and they were arrested for trespassing. And I think AJ Lee got a restraining order put on him. I'm guessing that. I don't know for a fact, but that actually happened. How is that a Swerved episode? Tell me.
The guy was shot by law enforcement, and they had to do life-saving surgery on him.
I didn't know that part. That's scary.
I mean, this was a serious incident. The guy was stalking and harassing them.
Yeah.
And they're actually going to turn this into a fucking episode of Swerved? How? I mean, that is just... I don't even know what to say about something like that. How the fuck could they possibly want to do something like that?
You sure they aren't talking about another incident?
It says that literally an episode of season 2 of Swerved will feature a crazy fan invading the Performance Center.
Oh, that's not good.
They have already had a crazy fan try and invade the Performance Center.
Yeah.
And he was shot, and he had a knife, and he was fucking nuts. And that's not funny.
It's not funny. I agree with you.
I wouldn't exactly be making a Swerved episode out of that. And again, I think that just shows how out of touch they are. Now, imagine these performers, these wrestlers, being put into the situation if they didn't know that there was a mock crazy fan trying to invade the Performance Center, knowing the history. What do these wrestlers do? Do they call 911? Do they have a gun on them and shoot? Do they have a weapon on them and try and stab them? Do they fight them? Do they punch them? I mean, this is just like, I don't get it. What's the punchline here?
There really isn't one, and that's the problem. It just is. And hopefully they figure it out sooner rather than later. Andrew Goldstein, former WWE writer, dropped what Gary, the intern, called a truth bomb. Brad, if you wanted to go into that.
Sure. So there's been a lot of talk about the Ricochet Ospreay match, the Super Juniors. And, it's kind of become one of those things is the dress gold or, blue or whatever the hell that was. It was going on. So, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that itself other than to say, I thought overall it was a good match. Overall, they're really athletic performers and, they did some things I don't like. They lacked selling and telling a story through psychology in the ring, and it was gymnastics to me. It was some of the initial parts of it, like you saw the GIF of it. Mm-hmm. That in particular, that first segment where they both landed together in synchronized poses. That's Cirque du Soleil. That's not professional wrestling in a simulated fight. So anyway, that's my take on it. I do like both guys, but here were the thoughts of former WWE writer Andrew Goldstein, and I definitely agreed with him. He says, yes, wrestling is a variety show. There's always going to be something for everybody. And as an art form, performers can express their art any way they wish. But this synchronized dance fighting that Ricochet, Ospreay, and the Bucks do is so beyond the suspension of disbelief that pro wrestling is founded upon. The fundamental conceit that two competitors are fighting is completely undermined by this level of obvious choreography. The art form is strayed to the point where the matches resemble Matrix movie stunt sequences instead of pro wrestling or even sports entertainment. And I thought, Andrew, you hit the nail on the head, and it's an art form and there's different types of wrestling for everybody. I get that. Not everybody has to like all 32 flavors of Baskin Robbins, but you also have to look at the big picture of the business and where it takes the business when this kind of stuff goes from being a specific type of wrestling or a smaller venue to actually becoming more of the norm, evolves into the norm, then we have a problem because we've lost the art of wrestling. So anyway, that's my take on it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I liked the match, but yeah, I mean, it was too flashy for me. I need selling, I need story, and the point of it all is, yeah, it's a subjective art form for a reason. So everyone's gonna like something different. Some like Cena, some like Seth Rollins, some like Bam Bam Bigelow, some like Andre the Giant, some like Hulk Hogan, some like CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. Everyone likes different stuff, and that's what wrestling's all about. Being different, being diverse. But in my opinion, because that's all this match has, is it just brings up people's opinions. Too flashy. A lot of really great spots. I mean, really great. But I need selling. I need a story. That's what I like in wrestling. I like cool moves. I like selling, and I like a good story. That's me. That's what I like. So,
Yep.
that's really what I thought of that, and it was really controversial topic all week long. Kind of surprised actually, but
Oh yeah.
But I mean, everybody commented on it. Everyone. Last but not least, we have, so in lieu of the draft that's going to come up in the brand split, we have some names that are going to be on the first SmackDown Live show that are being advertised right now. And those names are AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson. In addition to that, The New Day and Cesaro are being advertised for the August 23rd SmackDown brand live event. And as you said earlier, Brad, it'll be most likely AJ the top heel for SmackDown, Cena the top face for SmackDown. I don't hate that. I don't hate those. I don't hate that roster if that's what it's going to be.
Not at all. I actually think that's a very solid roster for SmackDown. I mean, that would make me interested to watch SmackDown. We'll see where it goes. I'm interested to see how this is going to work. I definitely am. Frankly, I think USA wasn't happy with the ratings of SmackDown, and so this is an effort to try and fix that. So we'll see.
But yeah, that's a pretty easy hypothesis, because hey, USA, they answered to USA Network. If USA Network's pissed, they got to do something about it. Because if they don't have USA Network, where does WWE go? I'm sure they'd easily find a network in a heartbeat, but maybe not one as highly marketable as the USA Network. It was like when SmackDown was on UPN. Nobody watched fucking UPN. They watched the USA Network. So there's a lot of playing cards that they can't really fuck up. Or they're fucked.
And it just goes to show that ratings are still very important. I mean, Dave Meltzer commented on this, but they weren't giving them any extra compensation for SmackDown being live. I think this was a move because they want to see ratings improve. And, look, ratings are still the most important thing. WWE still makes their most money from TV rights of these deals, like with Raw. It's very important. I don't care what anybody says about watching this goddamn show on YouTube or about, whatever else. Still important. They are the most important thing still. And until WWE is not getting the TV rights deal from a network, they still will continue to be.
I agree.
And that's how the networks feel. And frankly, that's how WWE should feel. And they do feel that way when ratings are good, and when ratings are not, they tend to make excuses. So we'll see what happens with SmackDown. One final story I've slid in here myself that Gary was not aware of, and you actually just came out. Brad Maddox did an interview with a podcast, and I'm going to tell you what he said and then get your thoughts on it. He said Randy Orton is known to threaten other wrestlers backstage. Quote, Randy would get angry at something in a match, and I remember a few instances when I was a referee position a lot of the time. A few times he would say things or threaten other guys, like right there in Gorilla, and I would be standing there with my eyes wide open, not believing that he is saying this in front of all of the producers and in the same room with Vince. I was kind of amazed by that, unquote.
I wonder what the term threaten means in this context.
I would tend to believe it means that he actually threatened them physically. I mean, the guy's got an anger problem. He has a track record. This is the same guy who also took a dump in Kelly's handbag. He put his cock on John Cena's shoulder. I mean, this guy's got fucking problems. So I would tend to believe he's physically threatening someone.
Well, I mean, as far as the cock on John Cena's shoulder, I think he's matured by then. I mean, he's expecting a third kid now. Is that right? So,
well, I think he also, when he did it, he told John, "You can't see me."
That's not.
And John said, "The size of that thing, I definitely can't see you."
You're making that up.
Okay, yeah, I am making that up. Nevertheless,
yeah, but that's interesting. I mean, Orton's one of the not the bully, but he's a star of the yard. So it's back to old school. Do you think like Hulk took shit from people, or like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall? Did they really take shit from anybody? I doubt it. Why would they have to? You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the boys should be standing up to him, to be honest, but they're afraid to do that. Maybe if they're physically afraid, or maybe it has nothing to do with physical. Maybe they know that Orton has a top spot. He's been there a long time, and they're afraid of their jobs. I mean, that would not be any stretch of the imagination that could happen.
No, of course not. They have influences. What was it? Like there was like a list of guys who could like talk back to Vince or like say whatever they wanted. It was like a list of like 3, and 2 of them were John Cena and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't get it. I don't get it with Randy Orton. It's not like he's that big of a deal. I don't understand it.
Well, he's one of the best they have, for sure. One of the most talented too. So
I don't think he's one of the most talented they have. Some things very good, like his sequencing and timing in the ring is very good. But I mean, he's got a good physique, and he's tall. But he does a lot of headlocks, and he can be very boring, and he has a bad attitude, and sometimes he's not really into the match, and you can tell he doesn't put a lot of effort into it, and he's kind of a spaz. So, I mean, I just don't see that he's the top guy that Vince thinks he is.
Well, we're certainly going to find out as soon as he returns, which is coming up in the next several weeks, I'm sure. But anywho, well, that might call it a night. We've certainly done a better job with better production than TNA, and we have millions of dollars of less people and money and technology. So, I mean, score 1 for the home team, right?
Yeah, definitely. Dixie Carter.
Here, I'll make sure everyone wants to tune in next week. Next week we'll have a story from someone who ran into Dixie Carter at a hockey game. Yeah, you tune in next week for that story. That's a doozy, and we're not going to reveal it this evening.
That's going to be good.
You know the story I'm talking about, right? You heard it.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's just say that it symbolizes it, and it describes them to a T. And yeah, there's no morale there whatsoever. So you can tell everyone where they can find you on Twitter so they can follow you.
At the VOTV podcast, running our Twitter account, tweeting and trash talking 24/7. VOTV podcast. Follow us. We've got over 1,000 followers now, and obviously subscribe to our podcast. Rate us on iTunes 5 stars. Give us any feedback, anything you'd like to see. If you enjoyed the show, let us know. If you thought the show sucked, then don't tell us. No, just kidding.
No.
Let us know what we can improve. That's pretty much it. I don't do social media, so I run our account. So hit us up there. I'm not like some of these other podcasts, and I have no problem talking wrestling with you and having a good conversation. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. That motto. But yeah, Brad. Good job. I really like that. Good job. You can follow me at Fisher. I have nothing else to say. You can follow me at Fisher. Fisher Wrestling and Wrestling News Hub on Facebook. Come, that's where the party's at, and feel free, talk as much as you want, as much as your little heart desires. Please, for me. And anything else? Anything else I can do for you this evening?
No, I don't think so. Nothing I can think of. I could use a beer.
Yeah, I've had 2. So you're actually 3 or 4 tonight. So you're behind. I'll tell you what, we'll go do that, and you guys have a wonderful evening, okay? Brad, I'll see you later.